All right, guys, we're back here, and I have one thing to say. I am dreadfully sorry. I truly apologize for getting excited after game number 1. It's all my fault that KT did lose game number 2. So I just wanted to throw that out there and, give a little bit of hope to the fans.
Well, I'm not KT Monty, but I'll speak on behalf of the KT fans and say apology rejected, Valdez.
Oh,
you can take your apology and stick it. It's all your fault, damn it. That's why this happened. Please leave the desk.
All right. Yeah. It was a sad moment where all of us got excited, including me. I was leading the charge, just like Kiin, into the hearts of the KT fans. And, I don't know. Maybe they can turn it around the next time. I just know one thing for sure. I'm not excited for Game 3 and KT's chances.
Well, I'm interested about picks and bans between Afreeca and KT. How could you follow up the perfect game and then the thoroughly imperfect game with a third game? It almost feels like the trilogy should have just been 2 movies, and then the third movie was very unnecessary. But I'm still interested to know which way it goes. We'll see how the picks and bans change from, I guess, what was it, about 1 hour 45 ago. We've had 2 pretty fast games because game number 2 was very quickly ended by some power inting by KT Rolster. They did the proverbial surrender rather than the literal surrender.
Yeah.
And now we see what happens. As game number 1, it was Irelia Sejuani Rek'Sai. That was a while ago. That was all about jungle attention. Seems like the junglers have escaped the crosshairs for the first 4 bans. And Thomas Kench will remain benched.
Yeah, we don't get to see him too often. He showed his face one time in the first series, but that was it. These teams know better than to unbench him. But that doesn't mean that other stuff gets left up, like the Karma and the Yuumi and the Sejuani. Those 3 big picks have seen the rift for this series. The question is, which one is going to see it this time? It won't be Ezreal.
Lux or Karma are the big ticket first pick items, and both of them can be in the support role. Even though the Karma so far was a top lane Karma, seemed like Afreeca had the solution, with Kiin breaking out the fake it till you make it on the MVP winning Kled, and Sejuani, very highly prized. It's a champion you don't feel great about giving score. I would like him to please stop with the pleasantries and to lock in Gragas. That is the pick I want to see. Your score, your Gragas is legendary. Great video on the Riot Games YouTube channel, Riot Games Korea YouTube channel. I'll sell out for this one. Really good Pocket Picks Gragas video with score on that champion. Gragas Yasuo possibility is there. BD's kind of lost Qiyana privileges. In fact, the LCK has lost Qiyana privileges. Just like when you remove all the toys from a child, no one gets to play Qiyana anymore. It's been a bit dirty so far.
Yeah, just bench the Qiyana. The Mordekaiser was also...
It was fun.
Mordekaiser was fun. I like the defensive build, where you just can't get dived, and you Zhonya's for everything. Immediate response here of not Gragas, but Trundle.
Is a matchup that can work. Dread has already dealt with this and won, going Hail of Blades Sejuani into the Trundle. Was the first time we were treated to that particular jungle matchup in the LCK so far. Trundle Swain days a little bit behind the times, but something that could be considered. Xayah Rakan for aiming and Senan. After that first game number 2, I should say, can understand why we would return to that. See what KT makes of this. Be a very early Lucian, but would be a response, and I guess they have their support already. Lucian versus Xayah Rakan. With Nautilus support, I guess you could just try to kill Rakan, but otherwise, doesn't seem that comfortable of a choice.
Either way, they're going to lock it in. We've seen the Lucian slowly fall in pick percentage and win percentage. Down there at the bottom, you can see even getting behind in lanes like Lucian Braum that used to be very aggressive and be known for winning lanes, but the Lucian Nautilus, we'll have to see how this does here.
Wonder what this does for our stats, because Lux will not be contested in this game. That doesn't happen very often, but Lux and Karma, the weird ones, and Karma's fallen through before today, which was very peculiar. Game number 1, everyone lost their karma button. And in game number 2, it lost.
And
so
same for Lux, too. No Lux in both of those games, banned or picked.
You know what? This series has definitely done it differently. So maybe it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Afreeca and KT have been dropping some of the meta picks. Camille banned away already. KT are doing the thing where they're like, uh-oh, it's Sejuani. Don't want to let her have some great synergies. And they ban away Sejuani's closest friends.
Yep, no girls' night out for those 3.
Aww.
Just going to be only Sejuani. She's
Actually,
going to have to make some new friends that have some clingy boyfriends at the same time.
Wouldn't it be pretty funny if it was 4 girls and Rakan? You know, he's like outside the girls' night out. Now, I'm just not invited.
Yeah, he's the designated driver into those team fights.
Hey, a very important role. Someone has to do it. So shout out to Rakan. No deadbeat boyfriend over there. KT Rolster. Gonna be picking up the Nico, going somewhere. They'll work it out later. Afreeca Freecs. We're looking for a blind pick mid laner against BDD. Now, Ucal in the past has been about Swain. He's been about Talia, which was, of course, banned in this game. Safety first. Karma's going somewhere. Let's make it spicy. Come on. I can take a little bit of spice.
Oh,
what's gonna be?
There was a little bit there for a moment.
This would be top lane Aatrox, probably. No guarantee on that one. But Karma Aatrox going somewhere is a way to stop the BDD counterpick from being as spicy, and it could be a Kingen counterpick too. We should mention that. So, flexible lanes from Afreeca Freecs, showing a lot of respect to Kingen and BDD. On the final pick,
Yeah, just lock it in.
the donger would be.
Just don't think about it.
Why can't we have the LCK's first Garen pick now? Like, wouldn't it be perfect? Isn't this the time for Garen?
Just do it, you know? Garen mid, why not?
Well, it's the opposite of Garen mid. It's Corki mid, which is obviously the sucky version of what I wanted. We're going to have Corki farming it out against somebody. That's what happens when you choose
Corki
two flexible
versus
laners.
Karma, oh boy!
Think of all the damage that will be negated.
What a high-intensity matchup.
Indeed! As we look around Lowell Park, we find some global fans. Sadly, the flexible blue side champions meant no cool counter picks, so we just ended up with Corki farming it out. Corki Nico Lucian, not the sort of a damage profile you're used to, but physical damage on the side of Prey to complement what's happening from BDD and Kingen. Second frontliner for the Trundle, so definitely you can not have to necessarily be about the siege, and the siege is decent without being overwhelmingly strong. Meanwhile, the Zyra Khan potentially can do a lot of work on the side.
I thought you said war. I'm like, wow,
I said walk.
that's different.
I said work, but like walk. So it was like
Work.
Yeah, I'm saying Pokemon names at some point. Pikachu. Anyway, on the side of Afreeca, they've got a Turbo Rakan, which can be potentially very useful, and also some shielding and mobility to allow Kiin to get that first kill and potentially ravage a team fight on Aatrox.
Yeah, on the other side, we do have a lot of pick potential here, actually. Poke potential, too, from the Nico and the Corki already. SnowFlower and Score can put their minds together and make those fights happen. It'll be interesting to see Prey onto that Lucian as well. Can he make it through the lane and do a good job against Zyra Khan, and then potentially carry like he helped out in Game 1. We're going into Game 3 right now. Afreeca versus KT will be the last one of the night. At least he chose the right skin.
Score lies in wait. Kiin potentially looking for a late invade onto the red side jungle. No surprises that Dread has gone back to Hail of Blades Sejuani. He was the first. He returns to it here. I think everyone around the crowd is enjoying the Corgi butt action in mid lane. Cute little Corgi, but we know that that's the early game Corgi that's, you know, kind of farms out, doesn't do a lot of damage. Oh, the opposite of Karma in many ways. Karma's
like, yeah, you're not gonna.
But the E, level 1 actually, because he was away from the minion wave, he took the total value. I think it's 160 damage at level 1. Is the Gatling gun, and you know what? Justly slammed in the mid lane was the Karma.
At the same time, the Karma's like, well, I'm just stacking up the cash. So I don't really.
It's true.
I don't really care. We're not gonna die from this. Whatever. Get me some more gold and items and.
You get to use the Lucian auto attack here, which is very fun for Kingen in the top side. Don't be fooled. The green hue tells you everything you need to know. And there's the final confirmation for Kingen. If lane swaps were a thing still, wouldn't the Nico be really annoying to deal with, Valdez? Because in the future patch, in 9.14, you can auto-attack and a champion and you don't lose the Nico. And then if you had the lane swap error, which was all about those differing starts and being needed to mirror, the extra variable of is it actually the AD carry or a top laner will be very frustrating to deal with.
Have we ever had a game where everybody takes the same primary rune?
No.
Or even just the same primary page?
Sorcery was pretty overwhelming at one point, but I don't think so. We've definitely had 5 sorcery if you include secondary trees, but and then utility was like everybody, every game. Yeah. Across the 2 trees.
Definitely had that a lot.
The same primary like tree? No, I don't believe so. We're pretty close here though.
Yeah, it's just 4, you know, and we even have 3 press the attacks. No full house, but just 3 of a kind here.
Yeah, this laning phase can work. When Guardian is down, if you get the right all-in, you can definitely all-in 3-6 as SnowFlower and Prey, but otherwise, as a 500 range 80 carry with no spell shield, chances of getting hit by a stray set of feathers is quite high, so not super easy lane for Prey to work on. I must admit, in my head, no, I've kind of edited out some of the bad times, and Prey did struggle, but the most memorable one was Doin Beast Kled game was Prey getting caught multiple times by the Kled on Lucian over at Rift Rivals last year. So, given that bad memory, I do worry a little bit here for Prey on his return to the Lucian. Scored jungling very fast so far, level 4. Looking to make something happen, just going to go for a back and try to relieve pressure from Kingen, who's being a super jerk to Kiin.
Yeah, it's annoying. You know, Aatrox can farm with this Q, but that's pretty much it. The first Q is the one you want, and then you kind of have to wait for it to cycle. Other than that, you're just being bopped on the head over and over by the Nico.
Has to go super respectful with the items. Early back timing, comes back with a second Doran's. And just will do his thing once again. So big lead here. We didn't mention it. It is press the attack. You mentioned a lot of press the attacks. The fact that it's press the attack Nico. We saw what number the Shy was able to do on the Camille when that was coming out from Khan and SKT versus IG at Rift Rivals. Against Aatrox. Hates his life until he doesn't. Kiin does need help to stop that from being an inevitability. Engage here.
Trying to turn it around now with the TP. Score is nearby. SnowFlower is going to be forced to flash those feathers.
Did they really need to flash and heal there? I would say almost certainly not. Don't know what Prey and SnowFlower were communicating, but that was a bit strange given that Score was right there. There's a time for safety first. I don't feel that that was the time. Still, they can return to the minion wave now at least.
As we've seen Kiin deal with annoying lanes in the past. Can he actually handle this one is a big question. Score coming in there. Stealing more of the camps. Able to get the majority of the Raptors already.
Any champion with a on-hit effect does love to go for the Berserker Grease Rush. It's obviously really strong for the Nico. It's not 9.14, where there are some more incremental nerfs to her movement speed on 3rd order. It's part of her W, which is the first max on the press the attack build. So basically, you can never catch her as the Aatrox, and it's just a pain of a lane. So not much he can do in the top lane right now. King will continue to do his thing, but if Afreeca get the right engage with all their mobility, obviously good things will happen. So I do enjoy games like this where there's a very clear identity difference between the two teams. When they both do the same thing, it's just who has the better items. as
Oh
well.
boy, big burst damage already on the score, but take a look at BDD trying to trade it back. Is going to get that kill as the two mid laners going to trade him here. BDD still trying to go back, but yeah, just a nice explosive trade in the river is going to go both ways.
There's blood to Afreeca, but like you mentioned, Katie, getting the answer and it going to the mid laner is pretty big, all things considered. Ucal going the utility build, he already has some magic resist and the spoilers that Athene's will be the rush. Usually that's with an Olaf and the potential to invade, and you could consider that as the Sejuani, but it won't necessarily be quite as threatening. So let's see how Ucal can pilot this utility champion in the mid, because we were not impressed with Kingen's top lane Karma going full utility in game number 2.
Dread showing BDD who's boss. Gonna clear out that one. He actually hits level 6 now. Oh, he's gonna hit him with the last part of that one, forces the flash. Kind of against the run of play as Kingen is just getting dunked up here in the top lane. Kiin really thinking about it there at the end, but had already blown his flash. As here's Dread, doesn't have his ultimate, but at least can fully score and get more wins up in the top side.
Score just wants to sap level 6 from the minion wave here as he's chased out of his jungle. Bot side, all-in attempt.
All right, another good trade as both the supports going to take a massive amount of damage.
Definitely no one super tanking the bot side, so you're always very worried when the ults come out. Only level 6 was on Prey, and that means the culling is on cooldown. Senan and aiming must be pretty close to their ults as well, so definitely SnowFlower needs to be fearful. His flash is not up for another minute and a half, and now Prey can't even really look for a trade kill with the culling on cooldown.
Looks like Corki may be picking up the package here, but
how did the top lane play start is what I need to know. We're going to get a replay. Back to the kill here. Just about score, having no vision lead. First kill goes to Dread. He gets one back. I want to see how the play started top side, because how would you ever have get hit is the question we didn't know the answer to. 1Q hits.
Oh.
I don't think Kingen could have played that much worse, but he didn't die in the end. Am I wrong?
No, I mean, you know, he got caught by pretty much everything. I still think it was a good play by Kiin.
Yeah, oh yeah. Kiin did play it really well. Shout out to him. He needs to outplay. It's a very hard matchup in the 1v1. KT still do have the ability to secure something. Skull was sacrificing his red side jungle. Happy to pick up the Ocean Drake. More annoyance on the way for Ucal and Kiin especially.
Kiin, he has always been this big carry up in the top side on the Kled. He was able to make it happen once again. Win against that Kled this time. Said perhaps that would have been a little bit too much poking. Went for the Aatrox instead.
And the role's pretty similar, right? It's pretty much another masochist lane matchup for Kiin, but his mental is super strong. He's known for, in spite of his younger years, being one of the top laners who always put in a pretty reliable performance. I would guess a couple of weeks of this season accepted. And they went for Karma Aatrox because there was no counterpick for BDD available, and he's known to be able to play some of those hard counterpick champions. So I actually appreciate the approach Afreeca took on the blue side. The short-term pain was there in game number 2. It's back in game number 3. And it's actually a good check by BDD to spot Dread.
Yeah, not sure how he knew that he was in that brush, but seemed to have a very clear idea, or at least just a good check, as you were mentioning, to just check your flanks basically when you can. The Corki, a nice amount of mobility if he gets in any trouble.
Good reminder. We always need reminders for checkups. Check your posture, chat, of course. It's an important thing to tell them that. And your posture, what are you doing over there?
I was bent over.
That's not correct. We've got to stay ready because this could be a long one. We've had 2 pretty expedient games, but there's no reason that this couldn't be a war of attrition between KT Rolster and Afreeca. BD farming up a storm, probably not going to be marooned on 1 minion kill required to cash in this particular cup.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see when that does come down. Corki, going to be one of the happiest guys in this game, picks up a kill. It wasn't first blood, but sits back, farms it up, having a good time, you know, not fighting before 2 items.
And there's no one who's going to be a real frontline on Afreeca. It's going to be mostly about shields, because the only person who's confident to walk up alone is Sejuani, and Trundle exists to make one person not a real tank. So BDD, you know, it's Corky, right? 100% crit will come out at some point. As this is what the trades are supposed to look a lot more like.
Yeah, if you can land that root, especially the bigger one that goes through a minion first, you'll get a much better trade, as Dread after that says, well, we can just start this one up, as Senan is going to be the first one up to that Rift Herald.
Seems like a lot of people got the memo, though. This is a party that's been advertised, so does KT Rolster look for the contest? BDD backing, probably Trinity Force teleport coming in, but he might be too late.
They got a great ward for this, actually, if he wants to get on in there, but he's just going to TP into the mid lane instead. As down it will go. I mean, Dread's going to pick that one up. And now they're thinking about turning this one around, actually. Dread wants to go around the other way. Is going to come on in. Here is Senan the big charge, as Score's going to be the first one to go down, and Aatrox is going to get that reset, so KT is going to back away from this one and try not to get any more losses, but Kiin will have at least one more meal. It will be SnowFlower on the back.
Bit like game number 2, what are we fighting for? Should have been the scream from the side of KT. They'd already lost the objective. BD didn't even go for a flank teleport. He went for a safe teleport. Why are we fighting? Why are we fighting? It's not an AP Nico. Why are we fighting? Why are we fighting? None of those questions went out there. They give over 2 kills. They give over a charge. KT Rolster actually allow Afreeca Freecs to creep ahead in terms of the gold in a very avoidable scenario.
Well, we've definitely seen this before as well. We'd hope it would have become a avoidable scenario for KT, but the roller coaster is real for both of these teams, you could even say.
The play drags prey away from turret plates for a couple of minutes, so while he'll probably cash in just the single, on the bot side, probably not going to be any more than that. He walks around.
See if he can get the double here.
There's a chance. This would be nice, at least, to stem the bleeding a little bit. And because Nautilus spotted Rakan, Prey didn't have to respect the Rakan as much, and that did allow him to get the second plate, so nice little moment there for KT.
Getting the double scoop of ice cream there off the top, so a clean 320 to add to his bank account, not so bad.
I always call them gold pinatas, and I have a question to ask. Have you ever actually hit a pinata?
Yes, I have.
I don't know how common that is.
Have you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know it's one of those things like Halloween that feels a little bit more on the American side of things. Like, we don't really celebrate Halloween. There are obviously people that do celebrate Halloween in Australia, but it's not quite the event that it is in North America. So I wasn't sure on pinatas, but I definitely have. It's fun.
It is. It can be dangerous. You need a lot of support and parents there, that's for sure, as Score is going to be spotted, and we got a package on the backside. BDD wanted to show it to them, but Afreeca said no. Going to come on in here to the Mountain Drake. We'll see if KT take a swipe at that too.
Probably a little bit more difficult to actually continue it. Both the parents showed up there, as Corky and Trundle were there to assist the bot lane. Kiin is stabilizing. The gold lead is definitely not growing in the top side. Kingen's actually in a really awkward item spot because he hasn't really gotten stronger since he got the boots too. You know, at 139 CS, you expect a lot more, and yeah, he's in between power and actually will probably lose most trades here. So kind of awkward to be holding 2,500 gold when the whole point of being a lane bully is that you have more items in order to inflict damage. And that's the one turret that probably shouldn't be First Blood turret on the map.
Yeah, I mean, if you looked at that matchup and then you said, hey, at 1540 it went down first, you wouldn't believe us.
Because now Play the Ruin King's done, and Kiin says, thank you very much, I'm leaving. So
see you later. You know, I already got what I want. I don't need to talk to you no more. And certainly we will have some action around this Mountain Drake. It's going to be a big one in this game, you'd have to imagine.
I'm trying to wonder how Kiin got an extra back timing off without teleporting, which not really sure on how that happened. I guess Kingen stayed after the Rift Herald top side. Not sure. But Afreeca might actually get the Mountain Drake here, so we're getting a little bit of everything. TP being invested, and how about some more inroads for Afreeca?
Wow, the big zoom in there. Thank you, Jonah Strong. We get it. They pick up that one as Ocean is going to be next. Perhaps that's what he wanted to see. And it's not going to be the biggest Drake at the end of the day, but you do have the Corki now with your Trinity Force. You have that first item for your Nico up on the top side. Maybe KT could take some fights, but there's not too much to fight over. So we'll have to see how Afreeca do react to that.
Can't afford to sacrifice any health bars to do it. Really want to have a standstill where you can make someone accountable in a small window when Karma shields are on cooldown. Or catch the Karma. That would obviously be the gold standard for the
Fight
side
them
of KT.
without the Karma?
That would be lovely, but while that was in game number 2, it's a bit of a sometimes thing to happen. Usually Karma is going to be around her besties at all times. Right on the butt was that little Q coming through from the Karma. And we're not at the point where Corki does real big damage. No Trinity Force done, no 3-item build done. So for now at least, you look at Afreeca and say, assuming they find the fight and they're not kited out by some of the mobility on KT, you have to love them in the 5v5.
Yeah, we are going to have to wait a little bit until that does happen, as I was mentioning. Looks like perhaps Dread will be the one to bring the action to KT. As you can see, he's waiting nearby, but nobody really wants to make it happen. They have a couple of options. If Afreeca wants to make a play, they could try to dive the bottom side that's already very weak, or at least pressure it with aiming. You can see that's what they're going to do here. Just move everybody down.
Showing some restraint, actually, Valdez. You know, we did not see Sejuani try to explore the brush towards the left of that outer turret. Realized they were going to get the turret anyway. So they're going for just much more controlled wins and some of the wanton aggression of previous games. Ucal speeds away. He's got his Ludens on the next back. And Kiin himself, looking pretty impressive, especially in the context of the matchup he was in.
Yeah, I mean, he got the first blood turret. He's 1-0-1. He's hanging back now. He's down a little bit on CS, but that's not a big deal up against the Nico. Should be applauded. He can now just head down to the bottom side where he has a turret, farm it up a little bit more. He's got his TP ready to go. Things are looking pretty good here for Afreeca so far.
Baron spawning in a minute means the bot lane TP war becomes oh so much more important. Right now, KT have the TP advantage, so they can play around the map in creative ways and respond with both Kingen and BDD. Not always a relevant thing, but sometimes can be so important. Amy pushes up in mid. They want to repeat this play. They don't have Dread on a flank this time, but the Culling going to be invested to thin out the way.
It's a tumultuous kind of engagement there. Nobody's really willing to full-on engage. You know, Afreeca doesn't want to dive. KT not really confident to take fight, so a lot of things are thrown out as Afreeca trying to chip down a little bit of damage onto the mid turret.
A lot of pokes, but not much more. We're not committing on either side, and that means a 10 summoner fight is very likely to happen, or at least all of the combat summoners being available. See if there's just one pivotal moment left in this game, because the Baron on both sides can be oh so huge in closing out the game. I think it really does warp the game left and right. There are other games where the Baron is sometimes going to be low value, and it's going to be a super high value Baron, and I would expect KT to engineer a way to outnumber because, again, they have a double TP advantage, so they should be at least answering one of the turrets. They have no turrets on the map. Squirrel goes top, SnowFlower joins him. While the turret is healthy, should finally be first turret on the board for KT.
KT might get this top one. You can see Afreeca is really posturing for this mid push once again. There's not really anyone to guard it for now. But you can see the TP's coming in. Prey is also making his way, but is it a little bit too late? As Afreeca look to take this one down, and ultimate just going to be thrown here for what looks like zoning, as nobody's going to stick around too long, and they're not able to pick up that turret.
Throwing like a Gragas cast, going to get most of it, as Kiin catches Kingen in transition. There's back up there, and we need another couple of minion waves before this mid lane outer turret goes down. Afreeca just wants to punch the plan. You know, No Face said 3 outer turrets getting down for 25 minutes. We're on course for that. KT, we're A-ramming.
Oh boy, Aiming has to go up into the Feather Storm just to get away from the culling, so trading the ultimates there, but Aiming is definitely a little bit more vulnerable now.
Still, with all those resources used, Dread can take control of the Rift Scuttler. They can be the team to start the Drake. We're no longer playing one lane, trying to open up the map. And all KT can do is really feels like they're delaying the inevitable about this mid lane out of time.
And after game 2, this kind of feels like we took a small step down into the lull state after just a short period of time there.
Well, I couldn't really point at it on the map in games 1 and 2, so I'm happy that my geography lesson is game number 3, and we once again can erect a flag in the lull state. We still haven't worked out what the capital of the lull state is. States have capitals.
Yeah.
I'm pretty aware.
Yeah, that is true.
We do know what the anthem of the lull state is.
What's that?
No, that's unfair. The Yakety Sax is in fact a different state.
Yeah, that's true.
I wonder what the anthem of the lull state. Something slower. Something classic, maybe. KT looking for a classic blue invade.
To the moon.
That would actually be a pretty good anthem.
Sit back
for the
and
lull
relax.
State.
You know? Listen to some
That's
jazzy
great song.
classic
Now
music.
it's in my head. Now I want to hear it. Who sung that most famously? Do you know? Was it Dean Martin or someone like that?
Wasn't it Frank Sinatra?
It's not just would have been my first guess, but I thought it was maybe one of his contemporaries from the time. I'd give my attempt at it, but I would definitely butcher it.
Yeah.
Some people that trying to imitate is not a form of flattery.
There are definitely some people in the chat that are like, who's Frank Sinatra?
And that's fair. He's been dead a really long time.
Feels
But
bad, man.
either Afreeca, KT, or KT's mid lane turret have been dead until now.
Yeah, they got it. Took them like 5 minutes. Took them long enough.
It was a very long and involved process. The Mountain Drake could end up being important here, but no true Baron setup from either team. Defensive wards, couple control wards down from KT. It feels like both teams are playing not to lose, Valdez, and it does feel like perhaps the losses are costly in different ways, but very relevant given how strong the competition is, both for top 5 and bottom 2. Like the 9th spot is up for grabs. It's not what you want, but the top 5 spots also up for grabs. So if Afreeca want to be in calculation, they cannot lose to KT, because that's one that many of their luminaries will be winning, and probably winning quite easily. This has been a slog. Afreeca trying to come from behind, slowly invading with Dread. He's got the utility. He's going to pack that onto Aiming, and Aiming right now does some very impressive damage.
Nearly 3 items here as BDD is trying to burst down Aiming before the fight starts. He's down to about half health, but he's not too bothered by it. He's been picking up a lot of these river plants, actually, to regain his health back.
Items like the Zeke's Convergence that Sejuani has bought are cheater items to allow the Xayah, in this case, to just be as big as possible before Corki hits 3-4 items, because we're talking Karma's full suite of CC and shields and also bonus damage on autos. So it should be just insane damage from Aiming, but if they just farm it up and push it into the enemy AD carry, then there's a chance that Corki can get to similar damage items. So right now, I feel like Karma's chief thing in games is to tilt me when it comes to kind of predictions as to what's going to happen in the future, because she takes what are usually pretty solved kind of, this is why this champion is strong at this time calculations, and throws them out the wall, because mobility, shielding, and sometimes even things like Ardent Sensor make those calculations a lot harder. With that being said, Afreeca right now not being able to actually wield that damage and get any significant objectives.
Yeah. You ever read the book Goodnight Moon?
Oh, tell me about it.
It's a great children's book. It was very popular, I think, when I was a kid.
Was that your kind of, if you think of one book to summarize your childhood, would that be it?
Oh, we might not have to go to sleep yet as SnowFlower. Okay, he's going to flash away.
TP coming in on the top side from Ucal, but the action abated. BD's got something. Got a Crochet Shard and a Dream. Package is taken. Valdez, you are the resident big package expert.
Okay, well, somebody's showing someone else their package. A score is nearly able to be knocked up there, but the timing is not good. Kingen isn't going to flash on in there, and everybody kind of just posturing around here. The poke is real from KT. And since Kiin wasn't able to get that reset with score surviving, that means that nobody will go down, and in fact, KT's in a better spot.
It was a package pageant, and the Corgi was too late to show off that Corki passive. Almost to his death was Score, but got away with the face check. And now, BDD's trying to take the bot lane Mountain Drake. Don't laugh, Aldous, because it ain't a laughing matter. Afreeca Freecs can join the Baron pit.
That was scary. Prey was real scared there for just a moment, but you can see what KT are trying to do. Just throw up some pillars and poke away with Prey and BDD. And perhaps Kingen can get some engages. He's not the AP Nico, which is part of the reason why he wasn't just flashing on in with his Pop Blossom the last time around.
I mean, he doesn't really want to be grouping, right? He wants to be pushing, but KT have been ARAMing for the majority of this game because Afreeca got the start and were able to start things. Remember back to how good they are with first turret. When they have a lead, we saw in the pregame, that is where things fall into place, and when they're behind, that's where their rookie tendencies come out. So I'm a bit heartened to see Kingen back in the bot lane, but very easy with Afreeca's map control to say, hey, you better TP or we're getting a free Baron.
There's not really a great place to TP to unless you're going to go right in. They catch Score again. He doesn't have his flash this time as he's the one who has to kind of poke his face in there.
Who's next?
He's going to pay for it. We'll see what BDD can do. This can be an insane amount of poke damage, especially with the culling. They got to throw it out there. Okay, ultimate onto BDD, but he survives, and Senan is in an awkward spot now. I think KT might be able to turn this one around. Dread and Kiin are way too low to stay around, and they will have to back away from that Baron.
The Strangle Bob's hit, and that means no way out from Senan. So even though Score was alone and died, the time does buy a re-entrance. Kiin is actually matching straight with his teleport. Has to hop, skip, and a jump away. I thought he'd try to play with a TP advantage. He gives that up. We take down the mid lane outer turret. And how about just one team fight to decide all the marbles this time, Valdez? Because playing the map doesn't seem too interesting for KT and Afreeca.
Yeah, you can see Kingen, he had to TP pretty early. So, in fact, Afreeca was able to get him to TP away from that one. Means that that split push will be put on hold for just a moment.
Remember that the pillar no longer reveals, but it can potentially bounce someone out of the brush. Score got the bad news. Didn't die, though, because such is Trundle.
Nice play by SnowFlower, too.
Picture in picture, you can notice that we are once again leashing the Baron. In a true 5v5, you have to take Afreeca at this moment. The Karma is about full power. No death cap, but plenty of AP. They have a superior to easy-to-execute teamfight comp, and Xayah should be just so huge. But Dread hits his bad.
We're just bullying Score at this point. He's immediately going to go down, and finally we do get the reset onto Kiin.
But Kiin can't really further engage. Bloodwell be damned, he's too low. We'll have to back away, and KT actually, yes, they can't threaten Baron, but they don't really lose lane positioning in this ARAM.
It's a very awkward game for the Trundle player. You know, everybody else has got mobility. They've got ways to go out. SnowFlower's not really being in the front as, okay, Prey. Got to be careful here as they've got a lot of speed. We've seen this before. Might be SnowFlower. He's going to land a good hook this time around. We've seen some other ones in earlier games. But, yeah, I mean, Score's got to be careful. But at the same time, somebody has to check eventually in a lot of these positions around the Baron.
Now, you could have more friends or more priority or be playing a side lane when you check, but your point is still valid, Valdez, there. Unfortunately, leaving Score to just kind of be left on his own in the front line. Speaking of front line, Score coming back from base. He's going to try and follow this minion wave. Let's watch Afreeca. SnowFlower caught.
Who's flanking who? We're kind of going both directions at this moment. SnowFlower able to get out of there, and we're ulting Score again! Can they get him this time? But the subjugate is going to be onto that Sejuani, and they want to burst her down, finally! KT's able to make that duo work out of the Trundle up against the Sejuani.
Pillar could be big here. They're not going to follow up on it. Seems like KT
man.
not going to be fishing.
This game is just on a knife's edge. Nobody is really able to make much happen outside of one kill into Baron, but KT this time get the kill, and it's the jungler. They get the flash away from Senan, and they're gonna start it up.
Yep, they're on the Baron this time. They don't know it's warded. They do, in fact. They clear out the ward. No vision on the pick. Kiin walking up first. Baron's so low.
Baron's gonna go down. The smite is good from Score. Culling coming out, and you can see the ridiculous poke damage they have. And now that they have this Baron, the push will begin in favor of KT.
Fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 4 times, and eventually Score will be able to live. And that living was oh so important because it gave a Baron the side of KT. They've made this play so many times, but they can just never find anyone else. Old man Score has to tank aggro. He's like Rocky coming back from retirement for the 5th time. Where's the young boxers, he asks, as he has to walk up to be punched in the face again. This time, though, the punching bag ends up being the victor. Happy ending to that one for now. But we know the movie's not over yet. The runtime goes for at least another 5 minutes.
Zelder's going to be pretty late here, but it will be the first objective for the side of KT. The Elder Spawn, I should say, as that was the Cloud Drake given on over. Let's see what KT can do. I mean, they have ways to full-on engage, but 5v5 it can be hard if you're not getting picks like they got in the last fight.
That said, eventually it's way less hard because you have a Corki, right? And at some point he just does stupid damage on all of his abilities, not just his auto attack or his spells, depending on the game. With the Baron buff, this is much more forgiving, and they can use the Nautilus ult to zone people away. They can also play 2 lanes, as Kiin doesn't want a 1v1 this Nico at all.
Can't really get near her. Just have to let it go down. We'll see where Afreeca try to draw the line and say, you will not pass in this moment. You'd have to imagine around the inhibitor turrets, but they're grouping up around mid for now.
Minion wave comes in. Chrono Pillar goes down. This should be a free turret. Yeah, very fast fashion. BD awkwardly had turret aggro. Not ideal, but they get what they wanted, which was that turret. Easy objectives go down. The Baron buff power play. You can see the easy objectives were very hard for KT when they had to play mid lane for so long. 3,000 Baron buff power play without even really breaking into a sweat. And the Karma bait might have been the story for games 2 and 3 after it fell through picks and bans surprisingly in game number 1. I'm actually only wondering what the Zeal item will be. On to Kingen. A lot of different choices you can go here. You can understand Hurricane for pushing down minion waves. We've seen Cuvée go rapid fire Gnar multiple times. Phantom Dancer would not be the worst decision either. Probably not going to be a shit, is the only thing I'll say there. Yeah. That's a TFT item. As KT rolls to push in, Afreeca can only just respect, and suddenly Afreeca make the wrong engage, and they just straight up lose Valdez, and then playoffs look a long way away.
You can't be dropping games to KT. No offense to KT, but it's just the way it is. I mean, LCK is so competitive up at the top of the table that if you're going to be dropping games to KT, you got to win against everybody else. Especially when you're already a game behind the majority of those top teams. So the point does stand. A Score might just die here. Aiming nearly able to do it with the culling. Funnily enough, just one culling straight to aiming and Ucal is enough to chunk them both for half their health bar.
If Afreeca win this game, it will be aiming winning MVP. He has so much damage, and the rest of the team is built to buff him up. So Drake is actually really in the middle of nowhere, but does get into range of a shield. Kiin is still having the worst day of his life at this point in the side lane.
Kingen's got like 3,000 health too. He's not even like a small Nico in that lane. Even if the Aatrox does get on top of her and able to do that engage, it's not the end of the world.
You know what the last item is on this build? We saw the Shy with it. It's a big edge, a very pointy one. Infinity Edge is the perfect last item to close out this side, so things don't necessarily get any better. It is the rapid fire cannon, which allows you to poke the turrets a little bit more reliably, and look at that. It's a cloak on the way to said edge.
That one allows you to do a lot of critting.
Oh yeah.
That's the one. And man, he is farmed up. Might just be the first person. Well, I say first person, but then I see aiming.
420. He's blazing a trail, Valdez.
Nice. We're wearing blazers right now.
It's true, and you're wearing shorts.
Yeah. Thanks for reminding everybody. They all needed to know that very important piece of information.
I give the people color casting. I call it like I see him.
Yes. Oh, look at
Oh,
that.
they don't know Sejuani's there.
It's a secret piggy.
Can they find anyone other than Score? That's the question. He needs to ult anybody except Score.
Look at the baiting that's going on. Senan just eats that culling. He's like, hey, well,
Oh, bad.
you don't know about our piggy.
Well, Miss Piggy has been caught. Meanwhile, the Nico's doing her thing.
Look at Dredd. He's just sitting there. Finally, maybe he can find this engage, but look at the damage from the big one of Corki. Straight into the face of aiming and Senan. You gotta be real careful. That's why this game is on a knife's edge. There's so much burst from both sides. 2 autos from aiming, and pretty much anybody on the side of KT will just lose half their health.
BD with a very assertive recall because his TP is up. I assume he has a big item pickup. He might have the package Zoya. He's coming very quickly. So in comes the rabid Corgi. Afreeca trying to push through mid lane. Kiin wants to buy some time. KT have a window here. Remember, TP takes a while.
Look at the poke. Just look at that. They're trying to get away from this one, but BDD's just lining him up. And Kiin is quite slow to run his way in. Some assist pings towards the mid lane. Perhaps it's Kiin who wants to start that fight, but
Elder is up.
ooh.
Baron is up. Everything is up, and KT have a winning side lane that can't really be contested. KT should be able to decide everything. All Afreeca can do is run at Baron, start it, otherwise they will lose Elder for free.
Thought they were going to start it there, and finally aiming is going to pull the trigger here.
So in a flank position, watch the top side.
Oh, they're going to pull off of it.
They don't even know. They don't know. KT, Afreeca have no idea.
Yeah. Look at KT, the Score. He's baiting so well, but here comes the Karma. It's going to miss onto Score, and now the Elder is there. It's a big engage from Senan, but it's just way too much burn damage. That is a massive ultimate from the Nautilus too. And here comes KT. Looks like they finally found it with that Elder. They're not quite able to force the fight though, as Afreeca very deftly able to get away from that one.
This is the part of the game where Afreeca often trip up. They are not experienced in the late game. They don't have those strong voices. Tucson, Kuro, and friends long gone from Afreeca Freecs. And KT say, we got a 3-stack Elder. We'll take our free Baron, thank you very much. You don't pass go. You don't collect $200. Afreeca Freecs, KT can go back. They can shop. And those items are now out of order on the side of KT Rolster.
They just got a bunch of stuff after that one, specifically the buffs. I mean, both Elder and Baron going to be the big ones on the push. And you can see Kingen immediately is like, I'm just running down bot. I got to start pushing that lane. That's where that pressure will begin once again for her.
And let's get a temperature check. You excited over there, Valdez?
No.
You feeling excited?
No, not at all. What?
Chat, you excited? How excited are we for KT? Because they look like they are set up to win this game. They are in a really good spot. Their champions are strong. The Karma's strongest window has been ushered past. Now, it's never impossible. 5v5-wise, Afreeca Freecs have a lot of power. And yet, look at this Corgi. It's a big damn deal, is the Corgi. Also, they have 5-item builds and multiple control wards as well. So they can spot here. It's going to take some sort of Dread or Senan flank, you'd think, to stop this being the KT victory after a month of only losses for KT.
Well, something had to break, right? And it might just be Dread here, as he is going to be scouted out for now. You can see KT not exactly able to force a fight with the Elder. We've only got 25 seconds here. Take a look at Afreeca. They know that they have to pressure the side lane for now.
It's so hard for them, though, because there's so many lanes they can't interact with. They can't interact with the Nico, too much of a handful. The Corki, also a handful. A lot of nice things to talk about
the
there.
pillar.
Yeah, and with the Elder damage as well. Plenty of burn damage. Elder's about to run out. Baron's still 1.5 minutes.
There's just so much posturing in this game. Like, Dread just running at Score,
They
trying
gotta
to get him to ult.
Gotta do something before the Corki starts deleting turrets.
I think that turret is already gone, and they're just trying to go for an engage of sorts here in the mid lane. The ultimate is already pressed here from Senan, trying to burst down SnowFlower. Looks like they will be able to pick up that support, but what does it cost? It takes them so long, and the inhibitor in the top side and the bottom lane is going to go down in the trade. And the fight isn't even done yet. Prey and Score trying to make it happen here. Not sure about this one, King, and you got to be really careful. He's going to be ultimate down. as he will flash away. That's the only way he's going to be able to survive.
Kiin had to pop the World Ender just to try to deal with BDD. Gets a flash out. That feels good. Maybe the next flank can work. Was good baiting by Prey and SnowFlower in mid lane. You had to look tasty. Prey had to pop his Mercurial, but was still able to live through it. They did their job. 2 inhibitors is enough to vindicate this first Baron. Well, his most recent Baron for KT. Elder spawns in 2 minutes 20. Can Afreeca actually get any movement on the map to not just have that be a freebie for KT Rolster?
You can see it's full speed ahead, as it often is for the side of Afreeca. They don't want to waste any time while KT's going on a back. See what they can get in terms of a push in the mid lane.
They've got no ults to do this, though. They can't really threaten. Only Xayah frontliners. Here's the re-engage.
Okay, Senan gonna try to get a knock-up, but look at that root in the back line. The Nico gets 2, and that should be the end of it here for Afreeca, as KT will take down 3, and they're gonna find aiming 2. The one true carry is gonna go down, and KT will be able to win this game.
It took so much work. It took so long, but finally KT pick up the victory their fans were looking for. Here they come for their ending. Some relieved faces on the KT side after this one.
I'm just happy we can finally get excited. They look to win this game. As Afreeca, not much they can do from here. I had to lie. I had to give it to you. I had to give you the no. But I was excited the whole time. KT will be able to pick up this win with the 2-1 victory over Afreeca.
Big win for KT. The subs come out. Smeb's there. UmTi's there. Finally a victory. Prey looks relieved. He doesn't join in with the big smiles. Only the 3rd match win for KT Rolster in the summer season. Kingen in the top lane was super reliable there. A lot of people came together. A lot of work came together. It wasn't flawless. There was a lot of meandering in the mid lane. But when they eventually remembered, wait, what can an Aatrox do in the side lane against this Nico? The answer was very little, just like it was for Khan against the Shy. The side lane was the return to. The side lane was a happy one. Congratulations to KT Rolster. Even that win, even though it only moves them to 3-8, with Hanwha Life at 2-8, any breathing room is so important for one of the most famous orgs in Korean esports.
And it's only 7 more wins in a row until they can make playoffs. Papa Smithy, the dream, it could be real, but...
What if they win 2 more, though, and you start to believe, right? There's always
when it gets dangerous.
Something about momentum. Yes, you can be glass half empty and say, SKT were 1-5, and then they could play themselves into form and went on a win streak. Let's wait and see what it looks like. KT are only now getting their chance to start up a win streak. They get their victory over Afreeca. They actually don't play again this week. Their next game is against Griffin, and what if Griffin lose to Damwon? What if Damwon smash Griffin and Griffin are in one of those troughs, right? You didn't have that chance to say what ifs earlier in the season as a KT fan. You just had to sit there, take your lumps, and be sad, be disappointed. However, today, you can feel happy, and if you can't feel hopeful about the rest of the season today, you never get to, and that's the best thing about fandom. You get to be there for the good days and the bad days.
And it was a good day for KT. It wasn't the cleanest one, as you mentioned, but it's a win. And everybody's going to give that thumbs up score. Looking a lot more comfortable on the camera, just gives us the expression as well. It was a long one. It was a rough day for them.
We get to talk to him.
3 days as well.
We get to talk to Score, remember. He was MVP of game number 1, and we don't know how many more interviews we have left with Score, given his impending retirement at the end of the year. A lot of legends, a KT Rolster squad that hasn't worked in 2019. Looked like it was going to go the way of Misfits, who are kind of their brethren when it comes to rosters not working. But the victory does come here. The smiles are there. All we're left with is the MVP interview, and actually, just who is the MVP of game number 3?
It's a hard one. You know, I feel like BDD and Prey together did the majority of the damage. I think the damage chart's going to come up, and it's like, what? How did they even do that much? I think SnowFlower, you know, he's had some really shady days where it's like, what is going on with this guy? I think this 3rd game I'll focus on was pretty decent towards the end. I thought he had a lot of good engages and ultimates on the Nautilus at least. He wasn't my vote, but at least was pretty good. We're going to get another look here as it went through Senan and it hit the two of them in the back. That was the mega root that just was the straw that broke the camel's back in that fight.
And it's that one thing about the NiKo's kit, because obviously it's all about the W, right, in lane if you're going the on-hit build, but if you go the on-hit build, you still get a bogus root, right? The root length is so long when it passes through, and so relieved is Bray to be part of that victory. But that root, the same root that was able to get so much value for TL against IG in game 1 of that semifinal of MSI, that's the turning point, right? It can be such an important ability.
Yeah, it was striking to see the relief and just like the finally, you know, that moment on Prey's face where
if you labor for 2 hours 40 and lose today as well, like maybe that victory never
especially
comes.
after the season where you're coming back and you're supposed to be the savior, right? Bring it back from spring, and it's been so many games in a row where you know you're not performing at 100%, your team's not winning, and then you have a series like this to finally win. That's the mega relief moment. Doesn't get better.
Intoxicating, I bet, to be a winner in professional games. We only get to cast them, but we get definitely some spillover when it comes to the emotion of playing professional sports. Looking over at the replays again, there was some head-scratching moments here. We didn't always play around the big side laner as KT, but it felt like at some point one of the old heads said, by the way, get back to the side lane, Kingen. And eventually that led to multiple good inroads. Score had the worst job ever. We talked about how he was definitely old man Rocky at points in this series, trying to look for a fight past his prime. But on the Trundle, the mechanics not so important. He was just able to be a frontliner, and it was the one time where they over-pursued onto him that everyone else could put out the big damage.
This game was just so back and forth. You really got to hand it to both of them for the tenacity, but specifically KT for the amount of times that Score died and just being able to play this comp and trying to bait them and also poke them down at the same time, trying to avoid aiming while also not getting picked. It was a hard comp to fight against.
It really sucks to be Trundle here. Like, what else? Like, it is incorrect for you not to be looking to face check, otherwise you're doing nothing at all. And then there's no one else who can follow you up like 5 levels below. It's not going to happen. This was the play where KT made a really good map call. This was the only inspired map call of the game, the free Elder, while Afreeca mired around the Baron, not knowing where NiKo was. Of all champions to not be seen, NiKo obviously one of the scariest ones to deal with. As he on the comms, we'll see, have G-Sun let us know if there's anything notable here. Big engage, and BDD at this point was doing crazy damage.
Definitely a team effort from the side of KT. As everybody's like, wow, finally did it. We got him. And some of those very high-pitched nice-oos.
Deserved, you know?
Yeah.
Definitely brings some waterworks out there because you know how much it must suck as a squad with so many fans, with a full side of the stadium every time they play because of what they've achieved before, but nothing to show for the now. The 6-match losing streak, only 2 matches on the season, 60,000 damage from the 280 carries here. And NiKo mostly doing all of the damage just to her lane opponent. It was up, it was down, it was KT Rolster, and 43 minutes later, they get the points they've been desperate for more than a month.
2 carries better than 1 is what it looks like on that damage graph. But either way, I mean, I really feel like that was a comp that was hard to execute, and KT were able to make it happen. It was a longer one. It was a grueling best of 3. You go from a perfect game to getting kind of stomped in game 2 to come back and play that well in game 3. You got to give him credit.
Famous man once said in a movie, life is like a box of chocolates, and we definitely got some different ones here. As Kingen will be the MVP. No deaths in this game, as a champion who had to make a side lane impact is important. We saw his biggest mechanical play, that was auto-attacking the Elder Drake a lot of times. He got the kill though, and
remember this time he helped DPS the Baron?
I mean, he was doing a good job there, but we also remember his E that clipped the backline. We'll get a replay of that.
This is the MVP moment. You didn't have to see anything else, basically. This is where he...
Who'd you vote for?
I voted for Kingen.
I'm thinking who I voted for.
You voted for Prey.
There you go. I voted for Prey. I thought Prey had a good game because it was a hard one as Lucian to do stuff. And I thought he was good. Even the right level of baiting in the mid lane when they got the 2 inhibitors. But I think a lot of people could hold their heads up.
I feel like really anybody on that team. And I'm going to give it over to Z-Sun. She'll help translate the interview.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Susan with the interview translation, and we'll be hearing from Score Kingen from KT Rolster. Finally, the 6-match losing streak has come to an end. And Score, it has been 3 matches that you have not been playing in KT, so how do you feel right now? Well, yeah, our team was in a huge losing streak. Well, I haven't been playing on stage for a while, but I really wanted this win, so I could see all the teammates being super happy, so it makes me feel extra happy as well. And Kingen. So it took a month to see you back on the MVP stage. How do you feel right now? Well, I was a bit nervous in game number 1, but after that I was a bit relaxed, so it was all okay. However, game number 2 was actually very close, but Afreeca turned the game around. So what kind of feedback went back and forth after that game? Well, we had a lot of momentums in the middle of the game, but we were a bit rushed. So for game number 3, you know, we can't really win this game. This is a winnable game, so let's just stay calm and just be like cool-headed. However, a lot of people said that your composition was a little bit difficult and was not that ideal. So tell us more about your composition or draft. Well, our composition, I'm not sure whether it was difficult, but if our players can scale enough, I thought it will be easier for us to win. And all the laners were doing their best to get fed and scale, so we were able to kind of break down the nexus. And Kingen, well, I thought like Glacial Nico was the mainstream, but you were going for On-It Nico. Why was that? So when we're like rotating in side lanes, you know, so I think it's easier for us to kind of utilize the macro. So game number 3 was all about the objective, so let's check out the team fight over here. So you guys were able to melt down Dread over there and got the Baron. So we have 3 AD damage dealers, so we thought that it will be easier for us to just not go in or just fight back, and we were able to actually take down the jungler in Afreeca. So we thought that this was the moment that KT got the momentum. Do you agree with that? Same. I thought this team fight was the moment that we were able to turn the game around. So after this one, I thought that even though we might make some mistakes in games, I thought that we will just maybe just keep our force and turn the game around. Then let's go back to game number 1. Score. Your J4 performance was on point, and Kingen, your contribution was also very big. So how was KT able to kind of improve their performance? So during the losing streaks, there were, I mean, for all the people who were supporting us, we really wanted to make it back to them. So we just wanted to prove that we were doing our best for the fans and all the people around us. And we're gonna talk about the Herald in game number 1. So we have this highlight clip. So tell us about the details. So our laners were having a lead during the laning phase. So I had nothing to do. So I thought that maybe Dread will be on the Herald. So I just rushed to the Herald. But I saw Dread was trying to attack me, so I ran away. So I was a bit lucky at that moment. So weren't you thinking of like picking it up? I just wanted to like maybe chunk down his HP bars, but I think Herald was doing his best using his skill shots. I want to say thank you, Mr. Herald or Mrs. Shelley.
KT
So
선수들,
KT,
팬분들, 코칭 스태프분들,
all the players, the
그리고
fans,
모든 응원하시는 분들이 KT의 승리를 오늘 정말 기다렸어요.
you know, everyone was just supporting KT Rolster to pick up this win. So, Score, do you have any message for the fans?
저희가 항상 좀
We always, you know, our performance was really, really bad recently, especially when we were losing.
좋은 모습을 보여주고
So I really wanted to show our fans improved performance. So in game-wise, I think we have shown some of the process. So keep supporting us. Thank you.
네, 그리고 KT의 다음 상대가 그리핀입니다.
And your next opponent will be Griffin.
잡은
And you guys took down Afreeca, the team that took down Griffin. So maybe this can boost your confidence, right? Kingen, any resolutions?
지금 LCK 모든 팀들이
I think all the
실수하는
LCK
쪽이
teams,
진다고 생각해서 저희만 할 것만
the
잘하면
team that makes mistake will lose. So if we do our best, I think that is also gonna be a win number one.
KT의 자신감 있는 모습 다시 만나니까 너무너무
It's really happy to see KT players back with their full confidence. So once again, congratulations on the win and thank you very much for this interview.
KT의 스코어 선수
This
킹겐
will
선수
be the end of the
함께했습니다.
interview with Score and Kingen from KT. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji-san. As always, for the wonderful translation. Good to hear from them. It's been a while, actually, to get Score and Kingen up there on the stage. But with that, KT do get another win. But you'll notice that also Afreeca moved down a slot, which pushes SKT up a slot. Should make the SKT fans also pretty happy about the results of this match.
And the streakiness up and down of Afreeca continues to be the thing that holds them back. Seems unlikely they will be able to trouble top 5 unless SnowFlower can really bust out that big brain of his and help his team arrest some of their momentum. It seems to be negative right now, but there's a lot of teams on short win and loss streaks. Who is the best team in Korea? So open for a lot of discussion, and I feel like tomorrow we'll find one of those teams, or maybe even 4 of them, in contention. Really nice match today here. I'm definitely not feeling bad about it at all. But Griffin versus Damwon into Genji versus Kingzone. And Papa will be very, very intently watching from Twitch chat and maybe doing some backseat casting as well.
Well, it's going to be a big day. We were excited tonight, but even more excited tomorrow. Griffin versus Damwon, Genji versus Kingzone. Both the matchups are gigantic. They have great storylines as well. Damwon never wins against Griffin. It just doesn't happen. But this time around seems like the most likely time that it can actually happen with Damwon on the huge rise and Griffin taking a recent downturn.
And it does feel like it's like pinch it moments for both Damwon and Genji when it's like, you guys are on incredible runs of varying length, but that could all come crashing down with a loss tomorrow.
Yeah, Genji, a magical run so far, coming back from the depths, you know. So will be a massive game tomorrow. Thank you guys once again for watching tonight, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
You take me higher when I feel low, make my world brighter when I'm alone. I keep on rolling, oh, with your fuel. You're like my gasoline that makes my dream come true. This is it. You're all I need. I feel
swoon.